Hello and welcome to another weekly live stream where we watch Paul write Mythruna bugs live in real time. Let's see, I'm apparently spiking a little hot on the mic. Apologize about that. Let me go ahead and switch over to scene. I would like to thank a new patron, Galactic Taco, as one of the new superheroes. So thanks for joining the crew. And yes, as scrolling in the lower left there are my awesome patrons. I recognize that sometimes it can be tough to keep giving. I appreciate that you guys do, and still give me some support that we still believe in what I'm doing here, so that's good. Up in the upper left corner is where the link is, where you can download the latest version. This week, behind the scenes, when I'm not busy putting out fires at work and dealing with drama there, I've been working on the old Mythruna. We had the ability to like restore parts of the world. It would keep backups automatically, and so I'm building that back in. I know some of you like it when I draw. Good evening, Oakstorm. I know some of you like it when I draw in here, but yeah, essentially when you so whenever you edit a world, it writes a file to the disk, at kind of a delay, and the old Mythruna would keep track of kind of like a version watermark, and any data file that was older than that, before it wrote a new one, it would back it up to a revision directory, so that so it was like low effort. I could just create a branch at any time. By default, it would create one every midnight, which means I could go back to previous days of edits. But it was free. If no edits were done, it didn't cost anything because it's only copying it that first time something edits since the last branch was done. So I'm building that into the new Mythruna 2. It's a little more tricky because we have the tiles and things, and I'm pretty sure I can regenerate them all from the raw block data. But that's what I've been messing with this week, and I have a design that I'm happy with and starting to implement it and so on. As we left off last week, we had pathfinding working for the humans, the dogs, and the Gafen, as far as not pathfinding but navigating the probes and things. We didn't do the bird. We didn't do butterfly. I don't know that we need to do the butterfly since they don't really ever pathfind, but it could be that we end up using the butterfly as a stand-in for the birds. And the reason I say that is because if I create a bird here, they walk forward without even anything. There's something wrong with their physics shape. We haven't configured a probe for them yet, so but like if we keep warping him back over here, he's just going to keep walking forward. Yes, there's see, he just keeps walking forward because there's something about his physics shape. So let me delete him. But if I created a butterfly, I think they just sit there. Yeah. So a butterfly might be a better stand-in for a bird. For one thing, butterfly is closer to the right size for a bird. These are big butterflies, and those are ginormous birds. So for when we start to get to pathfinding, in full 3D, I may use the butterflies as a stand-in, even though they're kind of harder to see. When they have their little collision shapes, they'll be easier to see. Hi, Max. How's it going? So anyway, that's what we'll be doing, and yeah, I actually do kind of like that idea. And there's going to be things like wisps and things which are going to be essentially remodeled butterflies, and they will definitely lead you to things. So it doesn't hurt to have their collision shape and pathfinding stuff defined, and they make pretty good bird stand-ins. And I think they don't have, whereas the birds have the standard walk run fly animations. I think butterflies have a different animation set, so that might be a good way to test that we can configure those too. Anyway, we could end up running into problems since the door is placed in the wrong place. Oh, I know why. The door is placed in the wrong place because when I added these ramps, it shifted the center of everything over. So the door actually needs to go 1, 2, 3 blocks over. Let me just fix that real quick while we're talking. So I hope you all had a good weekend. Set up objects. So I think I can just do -9. Yep, I put it in the right place. Okay, so the door's back in the right place. My week's been a little hectic. I did finally perform at an open mic night on Wednesday night, and that was fun. Of course. So try to prepare for everything. I even though my acoustic guitar, so if you don't know, acoustic guitars a lot of times have their own electronics because they've got their own pickups and stuff, and they usually have their active pickups, so they've got a battery in there. Me an acoustic guitar and some songs. That's it. Me acoustic guitar to microphone. Yeah, sorry. So I got my guitar already tuned up, because I was going to go on next and so on and so forth. And I even like swapped the battery out in the electronics, even though I just put it in like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, the last thing you want is to be up on stage and have the battery go dead during a set. So I swapped the battery out. I was ready to go. I got up on stage, adjusted the microphone, went to plug into my guitar, and the input jack disintegrated. And there was nothing to plug into. It went pushed inside of the guitar. And so fortunately I was on first name basis and friendly with the guy who went on ahead of me, and so I quickly emergency borrowed his guitar. And of course his guitar is bigger than mine. So I changed my set to be a bunch of easier stuff because I wasn't sure my fingers could handle his guitar the same as mine, and it worked out okay in the end. But yeah, there was that moment of panic where you're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You can't really just sing a cappella. So anyway, that was lots of fun. Yeah, you gotta work your fingers up. I've got calluses, so there was a period of time where I literally played every day. Like if I went to bed, like that was my goal, right? Never break the chain. And if I went to bed and I'm like, oh, I forgot to play today, I'd get up and play for at least 5 minutes, and that helped a lot. I wish I hadn't done that. Okay, all right. So let's see what we got going on here. I think we have a pretty good. Can the Gafen fit under these? I don't think so. Create mob. Yeah, that I gotta fix. That's really annoying. There we go. I think the Gafen can fit under the door. These little short things, can't they? Let's try it. I think that might have been originally what I was. Oh yeah, I forgot I can do this. Center camera. Okay, so let's see if they can walk through the doors. Why isn't that working? Uh-oh. Something is not working. Something got messed up. That'd be this, I think. Just want to make sure this is compiling okay. I made a bunch of changes to get my... something was wrong. I made a bunch of changes to get my thumbnail made for the video. Because the pathing... It would only keep track... It would only debug visual one path at a time. And I wanted to show multiple paths. Okay, so he can arrive under the... Okay, cool. So that means he should be able to pathfind under there too. Which means if we warp him back here... So this is... I'm going to show you what's broken, right? If we decide we want to path to here... Yeah. Then we step. It's not going to go underneath there, right? He's decided he's not big enough, so he's going to go out there, when really he could have pathed under the door. So that's what we're going to work on tonight, is getting each mob type smart about their probe shapes and giving them a probe shape for the pathing. But I think it goes beyond that. I think the choosing of paths itself needs to be mob specific. So in this loop over here, where we have, where we look in each direction, and then we look in each direction and we decide if we can go in that direction and so on. I think that's got to just the looking in each direction part. What directions do we look in? That's one. Like currently we look in just the 8 cardinal directions, but for a bird we might have to look up and down. For a Gayfin, he might be able to flap his wings and make it across short distances. So these are things we have to take into consideration, that the pathfinding for each different mob type might be a little different. Certainly for 3D characters, they can go in any direction, or things that can fly. And a Gayfin can only sort of fly like a chicken. Alrighty. So how do we want to do this? Let's take this loop apart again. So we do a bunch of iterations, but for each iteration we grab the current candidate. We go through each direction. Which directions we go in is going to need to be configurable. The shape we use to query the contacts is going to need to be configurable. I mean, the easiest thing would be to replace this whole loop and make it configurable, but there's going to be substantial similarity between these. And so I want to see. Now, I defined directions as an array like this because I knew we would be swapping them out. So I'm trying to think where I grab it. I think it's a global right now. Yeah. So this is the 8 cardinal directions, and for some characters we'll be doing up and down as well. So we'll have, what is it, 27 different directions, 26. 8 on one level. I mean, technically more than that. I think we won't. So what I mean by that is, when you think about it, maybe I already have this drawn somewhere. I do enjoy going back through this file sometimes because it's like my whiteboard that just we never erase anything on. So from a top view, you've got this. We search in all of the regular north, south, east, west directions. But for pathfinding, we also search in the northeast, southeast. And so that's why there's 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way around. And you'd think that you'd want to do that vertically as well. In which case then each of these, so if this was from the side, each of these layers becomes 3 by 3 because you've got the center and then all of the 8 cardinal directions. So you end up with, I think 26 is what it works out to be, right? Because it's one short of 27. But I'm wondering if we could get away with just flying up. I think it would look weird. In theory, like, the pathfinding could still work in most cases if a character could fly only up and then in the 8 cardinal directions, right? Because they could fly up a little bit and then go, and then fly up a little bit more and then go. Because the up and down is in thinner slices than the way we've divided up the world for the cardinal directions. But I think it's just easier just to do all 8. But I may have to generate this list then because I don't feel like coming up necessarily with. I guess it's not that bad to do 27 of these, or 26. So like we could, well, again, it's going to be character type specific, so let's just hold off on that for a minute. I think Let me take a look at the driver setup real quick. Where do I set up my... I think it's source rigor mods. So we've got... I'm trying to look at for the JSON file, not terrain, not helpers, characters. So path data, setup driver, path actions. Okay, so path data is where we could start consolidating some things that both setup driver and path actions share. Because we've got this body config thing up here that I'm going to want to add things to that are path specific, like the directions. And so it starts to become easier to move these over. So I am going to move all... In fact, why don't we make a even separate body config.groovy to put all of the body specific stuff in. And we're going to need to restart before this takes effect. Aren't we? It reloaded. Oh, but it did not load body config. That's too bad. It's one step away from being really cool. So let me kill this real quick. I just want to make sure it's loading that new script. The my acoustic guitar is a parlor guitar, so it's actually the same scale size. They call the the fretboard. The frets are the same distance apart as my electric guitar, which is why I like it, because it's very close. I mean, obviously the strings are a little harder to play, but the action's very similar. I can't bend the strings like I can on an electric, but it's very similar, and that's why when I had to play like a full-size acoustic, there was no way I was going to be able to do any kind of like large stretches if I needed to do that. And there's a lot of things that my fingers just know how to make the shapes, but they're kind of difficult shapes, and I didn't want to chance it, so I played all simple songs with power chords or cowboy chords. Okay. Yeah, I gotta fix that because that's annoying. All right. So we should have this new body config.groovy, which means we can start moving. We'll leave driver settings here. I was gonna move it, but so body config. We're going to move over. It's going to need math D. It's going to need M block shape. What is the... Let's just take anything physics related. Oh. And entity system related. And let's just take this all. I don't think I need any of those other things. So it will tell me right away if this doesn't compile. It does not compile. Failed reason. No such method. I wonder if it doesn't like the fact that this one... Alright, let me just verify that that's not a... when I moved the class from one script to another, I think it messes it up. Let us see. Well, yeah, so it's going to fail right away. That's good. In fact, Um, reason. No such method, body config init. I wonder if it's because it classes are weird in this sort of way we run the Groovy scripts, and so it might be that the class constructor is private to this script, and so I'm gonna make a factory method, sort of. So we'll do like this, just in case. I've come across something similar before, so that's my guess about what this is. Okay. And this is only going to be a temporary thing because eventually I'm going to move all of the body config stuff over, but I want to make sure all this is set up correctly. So wherever we're doing new body config, we want to say create body config. And it's not a horrible idea anyway. Okay, so is that what I called it? Create body config. Let's try it. Let me make sure that path data only has, yeah, real path data. Okay. All right, let's give it a try. Yeah, and Wednesday when I did the open mic night, I was already like anxious because there had been some drama at work that day where I got chewed out for something that I didn't really do. It was kind of a misunderstanding. So that was fun. Always a good time. Okay, so is it going to start up for real? I guess it did start up, or we would be seeing bad things right now. Let's see if we can create a Gayfin. Create the mob. Boink. You look cute little Gayfin. Okay, so that is working. Let's work on a little bit of refactoring. Alright, so we ought to be able to move a lot of this stuff over. So yeah, let's move our support methods over. We don't really need that initializer anymore at all, in fact. So I'm going to just, we'll go for broke. So I think if I save this one first and it goes okay. Okay, I didn't see any exceptions. And then if I save this one, it should still go okay. Yep, cool. And we can confirm this. Work drama sucks, yeah. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, this was a case where I kind of got blindsided from a much, much higher up, and he looped in a bunch of people because of an interaction I had with somebody else that, like, I didn't even really give it a second thought, but misinterpretations all around. Fortunately, the interaction was all in text, so I was able to actually, lay it out. All right. So what was I doing? Yes. So all of that stuff transferred over. We can prove that it did because now I could create a body config for the butterfly, for example. And we'll call that I'm gonna basically call it a flyer. Yeah. Put flyer. What is that first? It is, so I'm gonna steal this for a second. so that I can remember what the constructor does. Name path spacing. Butterflies should do really teeny tiny path spacing. They can fit in really small areas. And so we'll have the flyer probe. Create flyer probe shape blocks. Good evening, Lando. Flyer probe. And then this is the shape offset, which we're not really sure about, so we'll set it to 0 because then that's less confusing. And I think it's just butterfly.rig and flyer. And then we'll need to make that method I just created out of thin air. Okay. Whoops, cannot type. Oh man, the other day, I was in something where I was having to type. Oh no, it was on Wednesday. Yeah, with all the other stuff going on, my fingers didn't want to behave, and so like I was really nervous about playing guitar that night because I'm like my fingers aren't even typing very well. Oh yeah, it was good times. Okay, so I think butterflies, we want a little tiny little probe, but for the moment, let's just make them have a dog's Gafen size probe. So I'm going to create a butterfly up on one of these things. This actually be kind of convenient because the butterfly is one of the earliest ones in the... So it is animals butterfly rig. Yep. Okay, so we'll create him up here. Uh-oh. Can I get property probe shape on null objects? So something didn't line up. Body type butterfly.rig animals. Butterfly.rig flyer. Flyer. We actually don't need this anymore. Oh, okay. That's not good. So something is unhappy over here. Let us remember where we get the body config. This is why I did this, because I want to see that everything's hooked up right when I moved stuff over. Because sometimes when you're reloading the scripts, things will work because they're already in kind of the global bindings, your old version. It's very weird to work in this environment where everything's live loaded, because if it failed to reload something, sometimes the old code is still hanging around. Yeah, so if body type equals null, then log info model name not found in body type mapping. Mythruna girl, dog, animals. Oh, Butterly. Okay, so I'm glad I did this, because sometimes you have to read something again. Maybe you guys already noticed that I spelled this wrong and were yelling at me, but that's why the butterfly didn't have a shape. Okay. Now the butterfly has a big giant incorrect... Oops. Like you guys can barely see that butterfly probably. So he needs a teeny tiny little probe shape, because they're they don't care about falling off of edges or any of that stuff. So I think we get away with a 1x3 super tiny. So let's just not worry about this stuff. We want a 3 by 1. And what else do I want to say about that? And so we will fill that whole thing with just thinking fill that whole thing with ones. Just going to x center will be greater than, so x center will be 1. None of this will work though, so I'm gonna get rid of this for a second. And scale, where did we get scale? Okay, so we don't have the scale. Double scale. How did we determine scale before? We were just arbitrary. Let's say 0.025. Oops. We broke it. I think that it's a case of having to reload the other script after creating that one. Nope. How do you use scripting without code completion? I type faster when the thing is not interrupting every keystroke trying to figure out what it wants me to type next, and I remember a lot. So I type very fast. And like during my day job, I used code completion. Method names are really long. I don't know the code 100% because I didn't write all of it. But it does annoy me that typing regular stuff is really slow, and I'm having to always. I spend about half my time fighting with the automatic parentheses quotes thing, and half the time, liking it. So I just type fast, and I prefer. This editor is very lightweight. Every key I type goes right in. There's no hesitation. And if you ever get used to working like that, it'll feel really strange to use a more powerful IDE with code completion because there's a noticeable difference. Especially as a former keyboard player, I definitely noticed the action of synthesizers and stuff. Not former. I mean, I guess technically I still can play keyboards. I'm just super rusty. But yeah, you definitely notice the action. Now, what was I doing? I was trying to figure out why. Okay, we got an earlier error. Is it the same error? Okay, yeah, so basically this is failing to compile over here, which is why, yeah, this is why. Okay, so, because, yeah. And so this editor is very customizable, and even though it doesn't have a lot of the fancy stuff, it does have some amount of scripting built in. Yeah, and I honestly an IDE would have I've coded Groovy in IntelliJ before, and it's pretty good at guessing stuff, but really in this environment where I've done a lot of weird hackery to make these scripts live load and stuff, an IDE would just be having fits, because there's enough non-standard going on here, just enough that it would really confuse it. And it's all dynamic anyway, so it doesn't really know what to do with it. But yeah. And so this editor is really configurable. So I've used this particular editor called Mr. Ed. Oh boy. Whee! Okay. I could probably get rid of that log message there. Oh crap. Hold on, I'll show you what I mean in a second about being configurable. Okay. So he's going to spin in a circle because he wants to turn. Why does he want to turn? Oh, because everything's red. He's unhappy about that. So I was originally a developer. Well, not originally. I developed on DOS ages ago, but I cut my teeth in real software development on OS2 and some Windows development, but mostly OS2. And this editor, Mr. Ed, it was called back then. Now it's just MED. Was on OS2, and I really liked it because it was one of the. I had come from, the Microsoft Professional Workbench editors. The way early precursors to what now I guess would be Visual C++ or MSVC or whatever they call it now. Source whatever. Somebody mentioned it already, right? VS Code. And IBM, who was putting out OS2, they had their own IDE, which was always so bizarre to work with. Like they had their own kind of ideas, and you see some of that even in Eclipse, which is why I don't like Eclipse, because even though they've fixed a lot of that since Eclipse first came out, I still have the taste of it in my mouth whenever I watch somebody use Eclipse and when I'm forced to use Eclipse. Anyway, so this editor was on OS2, and I had come from some really restrictive environments, and so what I really liked about it was that if I decided I wanted some particular thing to have a hotkey, I could go to that, I hit Control and click on it, and it lets me set whatever hotkey I want. And every one of these menu items is, associated with one of these. There's some internal commands that it uses, and so it's really easy to wire things up. And the macro support's really good, and I've got a whole bunch of, macros defined. And syntax highlighting. That was the other thing. The syntax highlighting is 100% configurable. So any new kind of file I have, I can customize the syntax highlighting. It's really convenient. Whereas IntelliJ, I don't even think you can easily, here, for example, I can come into my options. I go to file mode settings, and I've got this. I can edit the Groovy and come on, don't lie to me. So hopefully this isn't a. Oh boy. Yeah, why didn't that work? File mode settings, Groovy. Oh, I didn't click edit, that's why. So you can define all the different things about it, the different kind of colors you want in there, what keywords or which text, which symbols. Anyway, you got all these kinds of things you can define. And while most other syntax highlighting is more advanced, it's not like you can just, any new file you have, you can't just create your own syntax for it. It's actually difficult. So I really liked that. When I moved to Windows, there was a Windows version. So when I started doing Windows NT development, it was already there. When I started doing development on Unix, Sun and Solaris operating systems, Emacs was a natural fit because it was already configurable. And of course, Emacs blows this away in power, and in some cases speed as well. Emacs was a lot slower than I'm used to on this, but yeah, I like straight editor. Give me a portal to write text into, and then a whole bunch of tools on around the side of it, and get out of my way. That's what I like. Now, granted, at day job, I use an IDE because I don't know the code well, and it truly is convenient with some of the long class names and method names they have. It's not the way I would have necessarily developed myself, but okay, so that's too much. IntelliJ, yeah, I use IntelliJ at work. It's better than Eclipse for me. because I really don't like Eclipse. And Eclipse actually has some bugs that our project doesn't like with respect to how it project dependencies. It has a very brutal approach to project dependencies, and our projects are like these projects. They're all Gradle based, and Gradle has a really advanced idea of project dependencies. Like it's the tasks themselves that depend on each other. So you can actually have what Eclipse sees as a circular dependency. Gradle does not, because it knows the test code depends on this, but the regular code depends on the other, and it knows that. And Eclipse is supposed to know that, but there's a bug that I found, and so some of the whole Eclipse users' holdouts have to work around that bug, and their IDE is constantly telling them that there's errors in our code, and they just learn to ignore them, or errors in our project files. Anyway, I don't want to get too political. IDE is like it's like a lightsaber. It's very I actually do think it's a lot like a lightsaber, because I think every programmer should try at one point to make their own editor, just to understand the complexities involved and why you use something that somebody else built instead of making your own. But yeah, it's a very personal choice in the end. Let's just do this. I think I like the general shape, although again it's constantly trying to turn. That's a problem. Trying to think. It's constantly trying to turn because these red squares are bumping into stuff. Now, in reality, when it's not moving, it shouldn't be paying attention to the probe at all. And so that's a bug I gotta fix anyway. But the it's useful now. I think maybe we don't even need the... I think it doesn't even need to be that high. And so we can... What's this going to do for me? Yeah, so the reason I thought that is because we can make this even smaller. And just trying to think what I want to do here. Yeah, I think a little higher. So probably back to the 375 that I had it. Yeah. No, why do I need anything but one block high? This guy is really small. Yeah, see? Now, why are you turning now? You shouldn't be getting any input from your probe. Let me try raising it just slightly. It could be that I'm wrong about what's causing this. Yeah, I'm wrong about what's causing this, because that probe is not hitting anything. It could be the physics itself. That's doing it. Why don't I see the steering? Oh, it's way up there, that's why. Okay, so this would have helped a lot. This purple is, I think that's not the probe. That is the, so actually, I think it's like I said, when the thing's not moving, the probe's not doing anything anyway. But It's the body contacts themselves. So I don't know why then it changed when I started adding. 'Cause we didn't even have any configuration, or it was the dog configuration, or the... Like if we switch this back to... yeah, see? Okay, let me remember what the purple marks are for steering. So white is the axis. Green is the way it wants to move. Yeah, so it is the probe that's doing the purple. But what was the probe contacting? That was making it do that. Because to me... So it's still trying to fall off the edge. And so it thinks it's turning. These red arrows... Let me pause the simulation for a second. These red arrows mean that it doesn't see ground over here. And so it's trying to turn away from the ledge. And it just happens to pick left all the time over right. But man, we're getting like wrapped around the wheels here, because this has nothing to do with what I wanted to work on tonight. But this is a case where it is not paying attention to the block type when it should be. So the probe we should be, when we receive a contact, if it's a contact type 2, if it's contact type 4, need to figure out what to do with these, left or right. So we never get any, but we never will have any. And so we need a way to tell the probe that we're a flyer. So let's call it avoid edges. And then we have to add, which probe setting do we use? That means that the probe itself is mob type specific. Or instead, yeah, no, because it just gets... Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of hackery here. If shape dot root part instance of cell array part, see if that's gonna go okay. Yep, okay. So then I think we can get the cells off the part and go through it and see if it even has any of the ground probe cells. I think that'll be the easiest way today. Where is the... I closed everything. There it is. So cell array parts. I think I can just get the cells. So the other thing, Groovy is also really forgiving. I don't have to cast a lot of stuff. That's because it's dynamic typed. If I didn't have that, then an IDE would be more helpful as well. But as it stands, I don't need to like import a lot of weird classes sometimes, as long as I'm not real type specific. Like here, I don't have to cast this. I didn't want to do it if it was something else. Okay, so cells. I don't think there's a way I could just go over all of them without doing this dumb. Okay, let's just say def cells equals like less typing this way. Hold on. Let's just make sure that compiles. Yes, it does. Also, I have like years of tricks of getting things typed fast without, like doing cut and paste tricks and stuff. And a lot of times the IDE fights me on that stuff because it wants to fill in things that I don't want to fill in. It's like I put that there temporarily. I cut and pasted 5 lines. I don't want you to auto-format it. I'm about to change all of it. So if cells get cell, is it get cell? Yeah. ijk equals 4, then avoid edges equals true. Okay, so that should have set avoid edges to true or false. I'm going to log it. I can't actually. Void edges. Void edges. Let's see. Why did I not see avoid edges at all? Let's just make it really obvious for a second. There we go. Avoid edges, false. Avoid edges, false. No, no, no. One of you guys should be true. Let's put this up here for a minute. Print line checking cells. Print line. Come on, J. Oh yeah. That's dumb. Yep, I'm dumb. So these raw cell values that are in one of these parts, they are encoded. There are 16 bits of it is actually the type of the block, and then the other 16 bits is sort of mask information about which sides of that block would be visible and so on. And because I'm reusing the standard physics shape stuff, that's important to know which faces are interior faces and which ones are actually drawn. And so I need to do like mask utils get type value and check the type, because the numbers are really big, right? Or they're wild, right? They're not regular numbers because so checking cells, yep, void edge is true, void edge is false, and what I really should have been logging here is the type, and you can see that the raw values were crazy, but the actual types are 111, 220s, 334, 2, so on and so forth. But it's the 3s that I should be looking for. So I may have that backwards. Let's look at the shape of the dog. We create a shape of all fours, and then left and right, left and right, left and right. The falling probes are 2. The forward falling probes are 3 and 4. So it's actually 2 over here that we should be looking for. Yep. Avoid edge is true. Avoid edge is false. We're good. So now I can take some of this out. And we'll leave that in. And then I need to if check for props equals avoid, check for drops equals avoid edges. Yeah. Okay, so then this guy should stop spinning. Yay! That was a long way to go to get the butterfly to stop spinning, thinking he needed to turn all the time. And actually, it would be also better if he didn't bother to draw the left and right probes in that case. So I think those are called... They're not steering, they're ground contacts. Nope, not ground contacts. Ground test. Ground test, yes, of course. It's not a test, it's the visuals of the ground test. So if state.probe.avoid edges, if not state.probe avoid edges, return. Oops. So we won't even bother. Yay! Okay, butterfly can go wherever he wants. That was a long way to go, man. And really, that's a pretty big probe for the butterfly, but that it works. It should probably actually have a top and a bottom to keep him from turning into things that above and below, but that's okay. We want pathfinding right now, and pathfinding's already a little screwy for teeny tiny things. Oh, that was weird for a second. So like, if I tried to pathfind him here right now to over here, whoa, okay. So one of the things is when I'm placing things, I intersect with the model, and that's why it keeps moving closer and closer. So see, he's not going to want to fall off the edges, and so it's going to go around the long way. I wonder if he'll even be able to do it, though. See if he can walk the path. Oh, he did. That's kind of awesome. There's our little bitty butterfly there. That's kind of awesome that he was able to walk the path. Like, he flew up above. Yeah, that's nice. And he flapped, so he must be set up with the right... I think I called it run because you walk and run just so that they would animate correctly. However, this is not the path we would like him to follow. We would like him to just fly straight across, basically. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not the right path. He flies the path just fine. It's just not the path he should be flying, because if a butterfly really wanted to go over there, they could just go over there. Okay. Yeah, and the big deals will be, like if you put the butterfly down in this room and you wanted him to fly over here, he would just go over the wall. And so that's why we have to have custom pathfinding for these guys. And so now that we can make a butterfly and he doesn't go crazy and he has a shape, and what we did that for originally was just to confirm that this body config code is running, and the butterfly now has the simplest of all the shapes. Okay, so body config is set up for him, and we can start customizing the body config for other things. That's what we really wanted. So we want to move over the direction stuff so that each config type could have its own set of directions. I think if I do this, it's gonna make me well, it's gonna crap out because I didn't move it over. Okay. Alright, so things should still work okay. Let's close this. Alright. Really, what I wanted was the dir info class, but I moved this over because it's useful. And I think I'm going to define some, like, I'm going to call this directions 2D. And we'll have a directions 3D, and temporarily, just so we don't blow things up right away. So we'll do that. Yeah, okay. And so this will need I'm just gonna like prefix all of these with up. And so these would be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And then we'll do another set. Gotta remember to put my commas in. Okay. Down, 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 down. And then these all become minus. Okay, everything should still work. And then we want dir info directions. Yes, that's what I want, but this is not going to be happy with that. This directions equals directions. I think we can get rid of this now. Just have new body config, which will save me some wiring. Get rid of all this. And then down here, I'll add directions 2D. Same for the dog. Same for the short biped. And then for the butterfly, we'll do directions 3D. Uh-oh, somebody's unhappy. Yeah. This is the real error up here. I think it's unhappy because I'm passing, yeah. These are arrays and I need these to be, these are lists, and how do I do that? Well, I'm not going to worry about it. Let's not worry about the, just say list. I can't remember off the top of my head how to map a list to an array in Groovy. I think there's a like as array or something. But anyway, it doesn't matter because lists are just fine for this. Okay, so they all have their different directions now, which means the path actions can use. Does it know the body config? Yes. So if we def body config equals state body config, and then we def directions equals body config directions, and we wipe out we don't need this one, the redirected directions anymore. Okay, so let's just check that the Gaphin can continue to pathfind incorrectly, because he's going to try to go around he's not going to go this way, he's going to go the other way. Step, step. Okay, can he still walk the path? Yes, yes he can. He tried to fly up the wall, but that's okay. Let's try that again. Yeah, see, they get confused with that wall. So I'm definitely going to have to fix that. That'll be, if I get this working tonight, that'll be next week's thing, is essentially hooking these guys up to WASD and letting me run around with them to figure out which weird cases they're trying to climb up walls and stuff when they shouldn't be. Okay, so then the butterfly should now... It's not going to go in 3D because that's not enough. It also needs to know... It's going to try all the directions. I think we'll try it and see. So if we bring him over here, like he can never get there because it's too high. I think it's going to try 3D directions. Yeah, see? No, that's just going up the... Man, this gets really... Wow. Okay. Things are getting really slow here. Let's turn off lots of things here. See what we can bring back on. Oh, it's not happy with me at all. I gotta do these like one at a time. It's so slow right now because of all that debug. So path status, yeah. I actually wonder if it's rendering way too many objects. Is it F5? Yeah. So you're getting 5 frames a second. Actually, that feels faster than it is. Yeah, I don't know what it's trying to render, but it's taking way too much time. Path contacts. Oh boy. I feel like this is the case where it was rendering too many things. At some point I should add counts to these, because I can't really track down bugs when it's rendering the same object in the same place. I don't know that. Like it could have recreated these debug shapes each time, and so we could be seeing 500 of each one and I wouldn't know. So the pathfind is all that stuff. Oh, this is actually a little peppier. But why isn't it going around this way? Step a few more times. Let me add to here how many directions it's going to try. Log info number of directions. Okay, so this should tell us right away. This path to here, that's fine. Oh, where are we pathing to? Oh, because I didn't. Yeah, there we go. Step. It got there right away. Find path, number of directions, 24. So, did I miscount? No, but I forgot to put the up and down directions in. So we need just an up, which is just 0, and we need a down, which is just that, -1. Okay. All right. So let's try pathing to here. Step. Number of directions 26 now, the number of directions is right. But I don't understand why it doesn't go over here. Why does it continue to go in the wrong direction? Did it try to go up and couldn't? Yeah, like why isn't it just going straight over here? So there's something else with the directions. Alright, let's clean the path. Because I was getting crazy. Okay, so all these are right. Now we have to relearn our path findings to figure out what's going on here. Okay. So we try each of the directions. Each direction should have a cost. Oops, let's just leave ourselves here because that's in another file now, conveniently. Base cost is the dir length. Okay, that's fine for now. So we also need, we're going to need to pick a shape that's, so this shape, character shape, is going to have to be body type specific. I felt good. My neck gets really stiff with the headphones on. So that is something we're going to need to have body specific, because actually, yeah, they're human size right now, which is one of the issues. I don't think we're going to need any of this stuff anymore, but I don't have to fix it. Just going to move it over here. So we got to make a body shape in here. Oof. Let's call it a pathing shape, or path shape. And for the moment, I just want to steal some of this. So for humans, that's fine. Create human character blocks. Is that what I called the other ones? Create human, yep. Character, let's call it, let's follow our same convention. Instead of probe shape blocks, we'll call it character shape blocks. We want to be able to give it a name, a scale, and a mass. Is that what I did for the others? Yeah, and then I just passed null. That's fine. So you want to be able to take these, and character shape height will be 6. And and the character shape offset. Cells clear. Yeah, so we fill it all. And we set the scale. Okay. I think I can save and it's not going to blow up. Correct. Okay. I don't think I need this anymore. But I do need some way of debugging these shapes like I can debug the so we want this. We're probably going to want path shape offset. Oops, that's going to be a vec3d. And then we're going to need some way of debugging this. Let's just go ahead and do this. Path shape offset. I think what I'm going to do eventually is like I'm shoving all this into one body config, and probably I will separate the probe configs from the pathing configs. It's just convenient to shove them all into one now, but I have a feeling that pathfinding may be shared in more cases, like certain elements of the pathfinding might be shared in more cases than the probes necessarily. They could overlap in different ways that I might want to combine in different ways. Okie dokie, and I'm going to assume, gosh, we're going to need more than that. Because the path query, it's going to need to know like the scale, I think. Where do we do the path query? Okay. No, I guess we just use the raw character shape. Oh, we do. We get the bound center, offsets, and so on and so forth, and the shape scale. Which we avoided in the probe stuff, I think. But let me just double check. I think it gets more complicated with the probes. It could be that I need to just the whole shape that we use to query physics thing I need to encapsulate into its own thing. So query contacts, phys query contacts the position, the orientation, the shape. Yeah, we don't do anything weird there, but we do some weird stuff here based on the center. We're going to want to do all this same stuff. Because they ain't going to fly. I'm trying to get as much done possible tonight, and so I'm like on the fly thinking about what I can skip. I think the difference between a Geffen and a human is just the size. So let's assume for a second that we can just add that in. But no. Create human. 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 And I already deleted the commented out stuff, right? So 0.5. Okay, so they're half a block. So 0.5, and we'll do this. And we'll just go ahead and put those on everybody for now, so everybody will have the same shape information for the moment. Oh boy, things are unhappy. Oh, gotta have an extra comma. What's the up, 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 up? Somebody is getting micro-sized up, up, up information. Probe movement is greater than, let's say if probe movement is greater than 0.00001, then we do it. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Okay, so everybody gets a probe, and I need a way to debug that. Let me see how I debug the current, what do I call them? Probe shapes? Yeah, okay. How do I debug the current probe shapes? Probe shapes. Whoops. So it's capital S. Okay. Let's say path shape entity equals path shapes, body config, path shape. It's interesting that it doesn't need the offset. Whoop, something's unhappy. No such priority path shape. Oh, okay. Yes, 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 yes. What do I call it? Path shape entity. Set shape view position. Okay, so it's going to put it in the wrong place. But where did it put it? Oh. Maybe we have to set the position in order for it to go. And for the moment, path shape entity, we'll just stick it here. Okay, so there's our little path shape. It's in the wrong place because we don't offset it correctly, but we'll be able to set the height. That's what I want right now. So let's move the Geffen out here. Actually, put him up on a thing up there so I can see him. Oops. You're gonna fall off, my dude. Come back over here. Okay, you got there. Alright. Center on you. Zoom in, because everybody wants to see your pretty face. And the other thing we'll do is let's turn off probe shapes. And we'll only get that one. And so let's, I think just too high is what we want. Well, it's not scaled. It has to be scaled. Why is it 6 high? Oh, because, yeah, we use it for determining up and down and so on. So we'll probably want this one to be... Let me place a human. Let's put her over here. Yeah, so I think we use that to see if they're falling off the edge. And we only want it to be just above their head. So I think we knock him down by 2. And so let's make sorry, just a little burpee. So short. Yeah, I named these all incorrectly. Short. Biped. Path. Yeah, that's fine for now. Probably I want to rename okay, let's do this. So everything should stay the same, but I can now change this to be 4 high instead. That's correct. All right. We are getting somewhere. Now, the issue is this isn't really where it's drawn, because these are drawn I need to do this math. To figure out the proper position. Because this isn't quite right. I mean, the problem with, I have like a half hour to try to put all the debug shapes in that I can. And the show current steps, that's going to draw the little pink guys. We want to make this based on the shape we're rendering, really. Because this is not right. I can't make this work. Because this is going to be offset by 1.5. And we already know. Let's like give her a path over to here, for example, and step once. Like this is about the height that we want. Okay, I'm trying to make all of the debug shapes match, and there's some weird math going on here that may or may not be the right thing to do. We add the character shape offset minus, multiplied by their scale. So it's 1.5, should be half of that, 0.75, which means this is really up. But that doesn't really make sense because she's able to navigate. She's able to navigate under doors and things. That's why I feel like this is actually... No, that's the right size, width-wise. It's the right scale. So the character shape has a bounds center. Let's print what that is. First of all, let's take the character shape from the config. Boink, 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 boink. Okay, so instead of that, we're going to grab one from path shape equals state dot path shape. Oh, body config. And then what I will do is temporarily, let's set this back to 1 iteration. And okay, so this should still compile. Yep. And then everywhere we find one of these, we want to do path shape. Okay, so I think that's going to mess some things up, but we'll get there. Path shape offset multiplied by character shape scale, which everybody has the same scale, so that should be fine. Path shape this is false. We can't get into there anyway. Okay. Okay, so this should be using a different thing. I'm going to change the... I'm going to assume that 2 blocks shorter is going to be fine. In which case, whatever the... so this should have been 0. Should have been this for now. And so let's assume that for the short biped it's going to be like, instead of 1/3 of 6 or 1/4 of 6, it'll be 1/4 of 4. So just make it 1, right? And then where we do this set shape view position, where do we find that? I think that's defined in system helpers. Nope. Or path data. Where did we define that? Are there more groovy files? Is it in here? Nope. Check. I think there's a shape helpers, that is. Yeah. Okay, so I think if we just set the position in there, so we don't want to set this here. Yeah, okay. But we do path shape, boink, 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 boink. For each one of these, path shape entity, yep. Path shape, oh, I was using the wrong, wasn't I? Oh no, path shape entity, that's right. No, I was using the wrong shape. Oh, it doesn't matter, that's why. And so we'll say shape pass and new quad D. The thing is, we want this to be the same, I believe, as we're passing in here in order to render what is going to be queried. And I'm going to double check that. So here we set shape position orientation. If we go to the probe query contacts, we're going to shape position orientation. Yeah, so this is the same thing. So as long as these match what we're passing to the query contacts, it should render the shape in the right place, and we can see if it actually lines up with what we think. So I should be able to say u path to here, and then step. No, is not doing the right thing. But why though? Let me... But why though? Why aren't we seeing it at all? Yeah. We create it when we create the... We create it whenever we create the state. Let's just refresh this just to make sure. Okay, and then we should be able to say path to here, step, 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 and should be setting that same shape to whatever current thing we're checking. So let's do shape helpers. Let's say log info set shape view position pass shape. No, that's gonna be too big. Let's just say pass. Yeah, that's the problem. Let us temporarily remove this. Temporarily remove that so that we can see what it's doing during the path finding. So path to here, step, Why is it called so many times? And is that even the right value? Our mobs here, yeah, so oh, I see, it ran the probe in all the different directions, that's why. It's not really what I wanted, but that's okay. So the probe would end up in the last position that we checked, which would still be enough to see what I'm trying to see. But really we want it to be up here where it's creating the pink blob. Problem is we haven't calculated the position yet. It's setting the right position. Am I getting the right shape? Yes. If I come back over here and I do this, oops. What if I change this to be correct? Because it's not right now. State body config probe, oh no, path shape, set. No, unhappy with that. Message property mass. Oh. Oh, because that's supposed to be a shape. Okay. So that's still doing what's expected. But then why does it not work over here? Okay, let's look at what one of these, just want to see something. Let's just take one of these. Just take a couple of these. Move in here, and then, yeah, because it's doing 3 different characters here. Alright, and so then path to here, step, step. Okay, so we got some new ones that we can look at and see if we can spot a difference. So these should correlate closely with these. Okay, they're way too high, but that should still be visible. Sometimes you just have to see if they're in a weird position. Nope. Okay. So where did they go? Because they're not that different. Why isn't it showing up? Well, let's check all these things, because that could be wrong too. Clean the path, path to here, step. So what final position are we setting? far away. That's the final position we're setting. Because why? Because the position is scaled, which means we're drawing it. We're just drawing it in the wrong place. Just not even that far away. I don't know why it's not showing up. Like somewhere. But that is one of the things that's wrong. So we set, oh, it's like really close. Never mind. They're the same. I have no idea why this is not working. So let's go back and add this back in and see if it's the same. It is, I think. Let's just take a bunch of these. And then path to here. Oops. Step. So what is different? We've got the entity ID now. So one of these should match. Oh no, it's a different. Interesting. Okay, so I'm using the wrong entity over here. Why didn't you guys say something? Path shape. What? Path shape entity. Path shape entity. How is it a different entity? Maybe it created a new one. So that's not going to work for me. What I need to do is say, log this. Okay, so then, oopsie, no. State. Okay. I'm going to get rid of everybody but her for the moment. Delete him, because I want to see just the one path shape entity. I don't want like all three of them. Okay, so this is that. So let's put this down here. That's the one we're going to be looking for. Oops, I don't want to save this. And so then in here, yeah, we go to path actions. Yeah, okay, we're all set up. We can say path to here, step. It's the same entity, so I don't know what the issue is. I really don't know what the issue is. But, so we're not able to visualize the thing, but it might still be working. Because, like, she will find her way over to here, I think. And then we're not showing the paths. So we can show the paths. So let's, for a moment, create a Gayfin again. Getting punch drunk here. So let's make him here. And then path to, so it might be working is what I'm thinking. Which one's bigger? This one, I think. Yep, that's him. Okay, so step, step, step. Yeah, we don't, like, we'll be able to look at each one. Step, 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 step. Is it going to go under the thing? That's what I want to see. Nope. Yeah, so something's still wrong. It's not using... wow, it just doesn't want to find that actual thing. Yeah, so our position is way wrong. I don't know why it's not drawing that shape. Step. But it's the same reason it, yeah, so I can't even see if I'm even like in the right ballpark. That's nuts. Why isn't it working? Path shapes. Let me try one more thing. Path shapes. Oh, no, probe shapes. Path shapes. Blink, blink. Yeah, so it's not... It don't make no sense, guys. Why does it work over here and not over there? Where is it setting it over here again? Here. Is there something we're doing to the probe specifically that makes it work? Let's make sure. I think path shape entity is only used in 2 places. We create it, we set it. If we do this, it shows up in the right place. So what if we... Yes, I mean, that's literally the same. What if we give it a new vec3d, put it 0, 0. What happens then? And what if we do that up here and set it to, yeah, so let's just see what happens if I do that. In theory, it put it somewhere. Nope. It ain't nowhere. This makes no sense. I can't make it make sense. turn this off, they come back. What if I set this to... Okay, so that should have put it... Yeah, so they... See this... Yeah, so something's really wrong. Because this actually drew them down there. I don't think we're doing anything to the path shape. Well, that would be the other thing. I didn't do it before because they're quite big, but I can actually log the path shape or the shape. Let me delete all the things but her again. Delete. So there's just the one. Okay, so we'll put this back for a second. Okay, so we get that down there. That's good. Okay, let me just refresh this one too. And then we will path to here. Step, step. Okay. So let's just compare the shapes between up here. Just take the whole thing and I'll just delete what I don't want. So we got all those up there, which look good. I mean, that's the ones we can see. And then we got these down here. Which are the ones we can't see. I just wanted to see if it's the same. Yep, human female probe. All the things are exactly the same. I don't get it. Final position is the same. This makes no sense. Alright, I'm going to try one more thing, which is just to restart the app, because perhaps there's a cross-state problem. But I can't debug why the Geffen doesn't go through the hole if I can't position his shape and see where it is in the world. So let's put another Geffen down, create the mob here. Alright, and then path to here, step. Nope, it's just not creating it. But it would, with the exact same parameters, somewhere else. That doesn't make any sense. Well, yeah, because I even removed the one that's down here. Like literally, if I put this over, if we take that out and we put it identically just over here anywhere, really. And now we've got it back at 0, 0 down here. But for whatever reason, This is bizarre. The exact same code. Over here doesn't do anything. But why though? So frustrating. Like I don't even know where to look. I mean, I do know where to look, and that's in the Java code. And unfortunately, that requires me to restart the app, recompile, restart the app all the time. And it's also in a different library. Anyway, it's just a pain. Is it the same entity data? Maybe we're setting it in a different system? So that's that one. Let's put this back over here. Okay, I'm going to do something drastic here. I'm going to do a system exit because I want to see something. Okay, so we get all these guys streaming away. We do path to here, and we do one step, and it should crash. Okay. But that means I can compare these to this one. Because I mean, I'm kind of at my wit's end here. So this is where we start to find the path. Entity data is the same. Everything is the same, but in one case it works, in the other case it doesn't. So when we create these, are we creating them as a child of something that is not getting updated? Let me look a little bit into the shape helper. So when we create the shape view, we create the shape ND. We set a bunch of attachments. Those would all be the same. I wonder if it's a case where we require constant updates or something. We get logs every time we create a shape, so it's definitely something like that. Like the fact that this is constantly, when it's over here, it's constantly setting it every frame, and I feel like maybe that is significant. If that's the case, then maybe we will see something if we move them. So like in one we're putting it every frame, and maybe when we step we'll see it just for a second. Otherwise, I've got to do some really weird things. So I see there's a way out of this. I mean, except for the fact that I have no idea why it's happening. So that's down there. If I click step and we see it like pop up real quick. Nope, it's just constantly staying down there. Mark. So we saw it, final position 0, 0, 0. And then we do an iteration. And final position 0, 5, 0, we never saw that one. So what I could do is take this out. What I was hinting at earlier is that there's a lot that's involved in rendering these shapes, and I should encapsulate that. But yeah, I need to let this go. So let's not do this for a second. But in the meantime, what I could do is start moving temporarily in this body state. If we've got a path shape entity, then let's say path shape position equals new vec3d. And then whenever we're setting this, we would, yeah, back to here. For now, we would say state path shape position. Is that what I called it? This is never going to catch up. Hold on a second. We were putting more log output into that before I turned that off. Then it could display. So it's backlogged. I just want to see stupid shape. And then that will tell me why the query's not going right. So Gaphen, create mob here. Yeah, so that's the other thing, is I need to turn off that debugging, because that's what's gonna kill us here. Let's just turn this off for a minute. Okay. It should eventually catch up, but we've got that guy down there. And then over here, instead of doing that, what we will do is we will say state dot path shape position dot set bottom pos, just for a moment. So that should put it, when we do path to here and say step, okay. Okay, so we should be able to change this to be shape pos. And we'll see what it's querying when we do path to here. Ugh. Yeah, it's going to tell me the last place it searched. Okay, so clean the path, warp him to here, center on him so I don't have to, like, there we go. Alright, and then path to here. Come on, not there. Path to here, and then step, step. What have I turned off? I've got everything on. Cool. Step. So it's heading right there. Is it too tall? That's what it is. It's too tall. The offset's wrong. Okay. So see, now I can see what's going on. And that is over here. We want, let's try 0. Okay. So then say step. No, we gotta do a new path. Okay. That's okay. I can do that. Path to here, 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 there. Step. Oh. That's even worse. So then instead of 1, so did we have it? Oh yeah, it was minus. Let's try -2 just to see what that does. And I think I can path to here. Say step. Nope. Needs to be more. Let's try 3. Path to here, 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 here. Step. There we go. Can you go underneath the thing now? Oh, yeah, so that is too much. But now he can go under the thing. Yeah, okay. So then walk the path, Mr. Gafen. Yes, you can walk right under there. Okay. So that initial one is high because this, the quantization, like when we first set the initial path, we set it up high because there was an issue with the humanoid character, the female. So this is probably -2 is correct here. Maybe not even, maybe that's even too much. So let's warp you back over here. Let's path to here. Step. Step. It's going to be a little too tall. Step. Step, step, step. Yeah, so he's going to go around the long way. So it's actually probably another 1/8 of a block. -2.125. You get really good at dividing blocks. Come on, there we go. Step, step. Still a little too tall. Yep, he's gonna have to go the long way. So clean the path. Ooh. This needs to be maybe 2 point. Let's just. Oh, because it's scaled. I keep forgetting. It's actually probably. Yeah. Yeah. It's everything's divided in half. I keep forgetting that. So that might do it. Just slightly too high. Nope, he can go through now. All right. All right. All right. Walk the path, Mr. Gafen. Okay, what we didn't do is get to 3D movement. But let me see if he can go up the stairs. So warp you back over here. Path to up here. Step, 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 steps. Oh, you know what? This is going to take forever. Why are you going in that direction? That is the complete wrong direction. Why not just go in the direction you can go? Why is it going farther away? So there's something about... I bet this is true even for the human now. I bet, yeah, it's going to leave all kinds of doo-doo. Let's reset something here. So I bet I bet I've broken something, and even the human can't walk up the stairs now. Path to here. Step, 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 step. Well, at least she's not making a straight beeline up the ramp. So maybe, yeah. Alright, let's change the iterations back to normal. Was it set to 10 before? Okay, so that should refresh all this. Path to here. Step, 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 step. Yeah, like why is she going around the super, super long way? Like she didn't even try those other directions. She's taking the really long way. She might eventually get there. So I think our heuristic is screwed up. Man, I got a lot to debug. So that'll be my task this weekend. But let's see if she can actually walk that path. That crazy path that she just avoided the steps altogether. Wonder if it's the ramp logic that screwed that up. I mean, she can get there. Alright, I think this is where I'm going to end it. I've got like a whole long list of bugs to fix, not the least of which is getting the path finding working at least as well as it did before for the human character. So I got to figure out what the bug is there. I got to figure out why it's not displaying this shape like it's supposed to. I mean, I had to hack something in to make that work. So I'll refactor that. But essentially, what we'll work on next week is the flying part, the butterfly or the birds. I may fix the bird to work right. But that'll 3D pathfinding is what we'll do next time, because that's a nice way to set a new yeah, so that's my weekend plan. So to bug fix this, and it'll be nice for a thumbnail next week to say that we're working on flying mobs instead of just different mob types, because we've got different mob types with different pathfinding characteristics that's just not fully fleshed out. Alright, let me do the stream closing stuff, because that's what we do at the end of the stream. And it's even got its little music, theme music, and so on. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. This was a frustrating stream, but I think we got some things working right at the end. And I hope you guys have a productive week. And thanks again to Galactic Taco there for joining the superheroes. And I will see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys.